right, welcome everybody to the F1 Passport. We are the F1 brothers. So this discussion is going to be on the FP1, FP2 for the 2020 Hungaroring Grand Prix in Budapest, otherwise known as the Monaco without barriers.
Right. So race number 3, 2020, right?
Have you run this track on your
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
Those sweeping turns, and you got to get your speed just right. Your entry speed, your exit speed has to be just right. Crazy.
There's not much elevation, but you've got to find a good rhythm,
Yeah.
on this track.
Well, they say Lewis is the king of Hungary.
Seven wins.
Yeah,
seven wins.
That's crazy.
One more, and he'll tie yet another Schumacher record for most wins at a single track.
Yeah.
If he gets 8, he'll tie him with that record. So safe to say that all the records are in danger. Lewis haters are clutching their pearls in great desperation for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Before we even dive in, I've been watching a lot of podcasts, listening to a lot of crap. A lot of Lewis haters out there, especially with the BLM stance that he's taken. Some folks claiming they kind of liked him or really liked him, and now they hate him because of his stance on BLM, whereas we think he's being brave.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm hearing people say things like, he's been lucky and privileged to be in a good car his whole season. I mean, his whole career. And I mean, my position on that is you've got to be good to get into a good car, and then you've got to be good to stay in a good car.
Right.
But then everyone forgets or seems to forget that the decisions that he made were also great. We forget just how crazy everybody thought he was when he left McLaren for Mercedes. Right? Everybody thought he was nuts for making that decision. I mean, look at Alonso.
Look at Alonso going to McLaren when they switched to Honda engines. He thought he was making the Lewis Part 2 move, just crumbled.
Yeah.
Look at our guy, what's his name, Ricciardo, who went over to Renault thinking, I'm going to a works team. They're making all these promises, and then back.
How do you feel about his quick move to McLaren?
He should have done that to begin with. He should have done it last year. He was kicking himself all last year. Yeah. So he had his opportunity. He said, I'm going for it. I mean, if you just look at the results, you can't blame him. McLaren's car is better. They're on a better trajectory. They built the new wind, or they're building the new wind tunnel. They had to stop it until they got this influx of cash, this loan that they got.
Right, from the Crown Prince.
Yeah, so they're positioned for 2021 beyond with that new wind tunnel to even get better. You know what I mean? So I think he definitely made the right decision.
He must have seen something in there that, despite what was happening on track, I think he saw something else within the organization that spooked him a bit.
Yeah, well, they must have made him promises, right? And they didn't deliver on any of those promises.
Right.
In terms of performance, engine performance, all that stuff.
Right.
It didn't take him long. He's like, I'm out of here, y'all. Deuces.
No, did you see his post-race interview after the steering Grand Prix last week?
No. Was he talking about their team order or lack of team orders and all that stuff?
Actually, no, he didn't. He didn't bring that. He was more focused on the pass that Stroll made on him, the illegal pass that Stroll made on him at the end of the race. Okay. But dude was struggling with that COVID mask, man. That toucan snoot of his was struggling. Yeah. He's gonna need a specially made mask to cover that snoot, dude.
That's his character, man.
It was funny, man.
That makes him faster. But what about the 2 employees who tested positive for COVID? You hear about that?
Yeah. I just heard that was just announced today. So they weren't team members.
Yeah, and they weren't at the track. They were, I guess, back at the factory.
Yeah. Well, heck, I think they may have been stewards or
Oh,
track workers, who were just joined for that race and got turned away. Thank you
good
for
they
your
caught it.
service.
Yeah, good they caught it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a scenario where Lewis or Verstappen or somebody, Bottas, gets COVID? Oh my God, man.
NHRA has that scenario covered. If you have to bring in a reserve driver, then you still get the points.
Who gets the points?
The team gets the points because in NHRA they don't have a driver and a constructors championship. There's just one championship. The team and the driver gets points. So if a reserve driver comes in, then the team will still get those points.
Yeah, but I'd hate to see it end like that for any of those drivers.
Yeah. And Bottas is taking chances, man, going home after every race.
Yeah.
Not as much as your boy Leclerc, though, taking pictures with his buds who are outside the bubble with no masks on.
Well, he's got nothing to race for anyway, so
right.
He can afford to take chances.
He's probably looking forward to an extended break.
You're right. Yeah.
Probably why he made that move he made, because he didn't want to suffer through the whole race. Although Ferrari's supposed to be looking better this weekend. Have you heard anything?
Please. Vettel got P1 and FP2, but that's just because it was raining and most cars didn't run or run hard. So
yeah,
I don't think that means anything.
Yeah,
they're in trouble.
They're in trouble, man. I forget who it was that said that their team boss should be careful about answering the phone. He may not want to answer the phone too much.
No. He's doing much worse than the last guy in charge.
Yeah.
Haven't done anything. Only thing he oversaw was those illegal engines they were
running. Right. Yeah, he's set up for failure in this situation. A technical guy who's being asked to be technical and manage the team. That's a tall order. All right. Any other topics you got?
Just the commentators at the race being in the stands. It's way too noisy, man. You couldn't even hear what they were saying. You couldn't hear any of the team radios. Like, they did eventually go back into their commentary box, but it was like, yeah, that was a bad idea.
But I was up this morning listening to that, and I love that sound, man. I love
the sound. Yeah, I do love the sound. I wish there were a way they could separate the audio and just at certain moments turn up the volume on the broadcasters and on the team radios, because you couldn't hear that.
Yeah.
But the rawness of the car, that part was.
I was loving that Doppler effect so much. I didn't care what they were saying. I just loved hearing that.
Right.
It was really amplified, and they need to get some, like you said, figure out some way of getting a speaker under there, because it captures the sound a little better, but then also amplify the voice of the announcers. All right, so what about your boy Seb? We talked about him last week. Kind of prophetic in our statements, if I must say.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to predict that Vettel will be back at Red Bull next year.
Still holding that?
I'm predicting it. They don't have a choice. Albon, nice guy, slow as hell. Gasly, nice guy, slow as hell. Kvyat, not a nice guy. And not that fast.
He's fast. Kvyat's fast. He's just out of control. He can't control it.
Yeah, I mean, and you have Verstappen out there racing with one arm tied behind his back. Like, he needs help.
Right.
And Vettel is right there for the take. It would be the smartest move for them to make.
I, I saw a video of the first Austrian Grand Prix. The press conference with Vettel, and he had a different posture than he did during the Styrian Grand Prix press conference. That Styrian Grand Prix, he had his legs crossed. He's sitting in a chair, leaning to the side. So he's got options. And as a person who's been in that position, right? You believe you're at the top of your game. You lose a contract, and you're sitting on the fence. That first week or two, nobody's calling you, and you're like, man, I'm at the top of my game. But the calls you're getting, are for $40,000-$50,000 less than what you're used to.
What you're worth, yeah.
And you become a little desperate. And that first press conference, he kind of had that look on his face.
Yeah.
But then when you get that first comparable, respectable offer, everything changes, man. You relax.
Yeah.
And now you have options. So if you've got that one good option, and then you've got a couple of other smaller options that might be willing to increase their offer because they know you got a better offer, then you start leaning in your chair.
Yeah, you get that confidence set.
And even beyond that, you start saying things like, well, I don't want to be in a car just to be driving around. Dude, and to your point, if it were last week, he needed an offer, and any offer he got, he needed to take it.
Yeah.
But now that he has a decent offer, I think he's still holding out for Red Bull.
Yeah.
He's still holding out for Red Bull.
Yeah. He's working them in the pack-round. Yeah. And they're listening. They were asking, what's his name? Christian Horner this morning, FP1. So what's up with Vettel? He's pausing and talking slow and exaggerating. They're thinking about it, man. They've got to be thinking about it.
And Vettel was caught speaking to Horner and the Red Bull advisor, I forget his freaking name. Helmut Marko. Speaking to those two in the paddock, and those two teams are not within the same bubble. They were caught speaking to each other outside of their bubbles. So I don't know, man. You might have a point. So the knock-on effect of that is another thing we predicted in the last episode. Your boy Grosjean might be in trouble, man.
Grosjean should be in trouble. He should always be in trouble. The fact that he still has a drive after crashing in Baku under safety car, when he crashed the wall, crashed the wall under safety car, come on.
And Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah. And then the time where he tried to spin out across the track, and just spun and wiped it. He shouldn't have a drive.
And there was another team that predicted he wouldn't make it past the first lap at that race, and sure enough.
Yeah, they were
driving to survive.
Right, clowning him, and he lived up to it.
So yeah, your boy Will Buxton said that Grosjean looks homesick, that his posture suggests that he's saying things like, during the Corona outbreak, got to spend time at home with the family and the kids. And that's another thing. The drivers that have kids, they're not the same, man.
Yeah.
Once you have a kid and you see that kid smile, you do something that makes that kid smile. You just the things that fathers experience with their, especially little girls, it changes you, man. It makes you not want to take that fast turn, at full throttle. It makes you think second. You think twice about those types of things. So, yeah, I think he's done and dusted.
So, which car do you think is second to Mercedes? Who would you put in the pecking order? I mean, Red Bull, right? But then you got Racing Point right there. McLaren.
I put Racing Point second.
Yeah.
After what they were doing in the last race, there was no one on the track faster than them, not even Mercedes.
Yeah, and that that may not have been their best track, right? They may get even faster.
Right. So yeah, I mean, Racing Point, they've got a better engine than Red Bull.
Yeah. You think this protest is going anywhere? They're going all over the place talking about how it's going to get into the English courts because if you copy something too closely, then you no longer have intellectual property rights over it or whatever. And trying to say they copied the brake calipers too closely.
Yeah. The issue for me is there's a phrase here. Let me find this phrase. Oh yeah. So there's a phrase, listed parts, right? If a part is listed, that means that the constructor has to make it themselves. So the brake duct is now a listed part for 2020, whereas for 2019 it wasn't a listed part.
So why is it even a question then? They're using it this year, so why is it even a question?
So yeah, so how does that work? If they can go and show their CAD drawings and show that it's exactly how it was for last year's car, when that part wasn't listed, then there shouldn't be a problem.
Right. The other thing is that Racing Point brought an FIA representative to the factory when they were designing the car. So that person clearly didn't have a problem with how they were designing the car last year.
Yeah.
So it's a nothing burger, man. It's not going anywhere.
But I'll tell you, there's a difference between the FIA and the on-track stewards. Those stewards see things differently than FIA. But yeah, in this case,
that's how it was with Mercedes when they tried to redo DAS through the stewards. That didn't go anywhere either. So it's not.
Yeah, I think Renault is just sending a Hail Mary just for the sake of doing it, trying to give them a hard time, maybe shift their focus on something else rather than on whipping their ass.
Right.
Yeah, that's all I got. Other than the results from FP1, we've got Lewis was number one FP1. He ran a 1 minute 16 seconds.
He did that on the hard tires too, right?
Yeah. So they came off the truck on soft tires, but he ran his fastest time on the hard tire, 1:16.003, whereas the fastest time last year at this track was a 1:17.2.
Yeah.
But
you see him working the DAS system throughout the turns. Like he was using it a lot, dude.
Yeah. I think they're finding that it's more beneficial than they even thought it would be.
Right.
But Bottas was 0.08 of a second slower on medium tires, right? So I'm always paying attention to the times versus the tire compound. So Lewis is on a hard, Bottas is on a medium, and he's still 0.08 of a second faster.
Unless there's just a big fuel difference, but
it could be a factor. Yeah. Perez was half a second slower. He was on soft tires, which is concerning. Stroll, 0.9 of a second slower on also on soft tires, and then your boy Ricardo a minute behind on medium tires. So FP1, but that may not be indicative of what we see on qualifying or the race because they're expecting rain.
Yeah, at least a wet qualifying at least.
Yeah.
Which, hey, it's so good to be a Lewis fan, man. Because he's always going to be strong, like no matter what the conditions are. Like, it's got to be hard for these other drivers. And what about your boy Max, man? Being all pissy and sour, all session.
Yeah, well, if that were Lewis, all the Lewis haters will be saying that he's a wanker. He's just a wanker. They're all wankers, man. You can't be a good driver unless you're an asshole. That's just the way it is. They take exception to Lewis speaking his mind in the heat of battle, whereas they don't do so with Max. And I love Max, man. You know, I love he's a racer, man. He's a racer's racer. I love that shit. We need more Max Verstappens. He puts butts in seats.
Yeah.
You know?
He's just a kick-ass driver. You talk about the last race. He's like, yeah, you know, it's pretty boring, you know, until Bottas came up. At least that was fun, you know.
Right.
That's the racer, man.
He speaks his mind, you know. He's completely free to do so, you know. You gotta love that. All right, so we'll leave it there. We've got FP3 and Quali tomorrow, so we'll be back online then.
All right.
Yeah, man. Later.